What is up, ladies and gentlemen, Manny here. Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, the weather is rather cold and suboptimal for hard outdoor stuff, so it's time to hit the home gym again, and this time properly, I'm gonna tell you right away. So very recently I made a video reviewing the Beastmaker 2000, basically, where I tested all the holds and I wanted to see if I can hang those. But as you know, not only did I purchase the Beastmaker 2000 and test it and stuff, I also purchased the Beastmaker Micros because I actually wanted to have standardized micro edges comparable to those other guys are using around the world. Yeah, and as I said there, quite disappointed I was about the rounding of these edges because they are not symmetric. But anyway, these are going to be subject of this video. I'm gonna try to test them, see if I can hang them, and as you can see, I already made quite a few self-made wooden holes here as well. Some really small stuff. Quite significantly smaller than the smallest Beastmaker micro edge, basically. So I'm gonna test these out as well. That's the objective of this video. And before I also want to show basically how I made these self-made edges, in case you wanna do this yourself as well. And before that, I also wanna have a little bit of a chat about the general, theory behind decreasing the hole size, the edge size when it comes to hangboard training and stuff. So yeah, let's call these edges very small edges today. As you remember, I think in the Hangboard Training for Beginners episode, I distinguished big edges, which are bigger than 25 millimeters, from medium edges, which are between 25 millimeters and 20 millimeters, and small edges, which are below 20 millimeters. And then there's also very small edges, which are below 10 millimeters. So today we're going to tap into the dark, deep, and very dangerous realm as well of the very small edges, which is quite a painful place to be. A lot of suffering occurs there, and every time you get out there with all your tendons intact still, you should basically send a prayer, a thank you prayer to the climbing gods. Now, all of this is of course very good because we want to harden up for those hard outdoor projects, right? So obviously what you're gonna see here is not very beginner friendly, so please be sure that you have enough experience with the matter before trying this out yourself. Alright, so now that we've made that clear, sooner or later any hangboarder faces the problem that the edge he or she has been training on becomes too easy. Now basically there's two options then. Increasing the hanging weight is one of them. You can do that via simply eating yourself up a little bit of a gut, or you can add some bonus weight to your hangs, or you can simply only hang one-handed and assist a little bit with the other hand. These are your options. The second big option would be to decrease the edge size, obviously. Now there's also a third option, that is increasing the hang time and frequency per session, so to say. But this is kind of limited. At some point it doesn't make more sense anymore to increase the hang time even further. At least that's my opinion. So the question really arises here: what is better? What do you think? Is it better to decrease the edge size, or is it better to increase the hanging weight? Now in my opinion, the way I see it, what you want to be good at, that's the real question here. When you spend enough time with the sport, then you will realize that hard outdoor climbing is basically big moves on small holes, sometimes small moves on very small holes if I'm lucky. And in hard indoor climbing, especially modern comps, it's mostly big moves on big holes. Don't get me wrong, these holes are also quite bad, but I think it's quite rare these days that you'll encounter a super micro crimp during an official competition, so to say. It's rather slopers and jumps and stuff like that. So there you go. If you want to be a comp climber, obviously increase the hanging weight on bigger holes. And if you want to be a good outdoor climber, in my opinion, decrease the edge size to a minimum and then increase the hanging weight. So now that we've made that clear, let me show you how I created these self-made edges here. And basically what I did is I purchased some of these LEDs from my local hardware store, and I drilled some holes in them, and I marked 10 millimeter marks, 10 centimeter marks. This is the wideness, so to say, of one edge. Now I simply took a piece of sandpaper and sanded away one of these sharp edges of this LED, so to say. And as you can see, kind of resulted in a very smooth and consistent rounding, unlike the Beastmakers which I ordered, which are not consistent. But anyway, obviously I had to saw them off them, and as you can see, hopefully this shot makes that clear. The rounding is pretty consistent, and it's also pretty small at the same time. So these edges are still quite sharp. This is 5 millimeters, by the way, so this is 1 millimeter smaller than the smallest Beastmaker Micro, which is 6 millimeters. Now what we have here, this is the true devil in the form of wooden hanging LEDs, I want to say. This is also a custom, how should I say, it's a pre-made LED size from the factory, so to say, from the local hardware store. As you can see, it already has roundings, which are pretty evil. This is a 5 millimeter edge as well, and these roundings have a radius of 5 millimeters, so this is basically a super huge rounding on a super small edge. And as you can see, when we compare these two edges here, Selfmade on the right with Selfmade rounding, and on the left 5 millimeters with custom rounding, the left one is quite even worse than the right one. And here we have another very interesting LED that I picked up from my local hardware store. It looks pretty amazing, actually. That's why I wanted to try it out. This is basically a half round staff with a diameter of 2 centimeters, which means a radius of 1 centimeter when it comes to the rounding, and it's basically just the rounding. And I thought, hey, this could be very cool for open-handed training. I got these in various sizes, as you can see as well. So let's see how these turn out on the hangboard when we test them. First of all, I wanted to basically take the 5 millimeter edge that's with the Selfmade rounding, and I just basically wanted to be able to hang it solidly. And for that, all I counted basically was if I could do a kind of 3-second hang on it, or let's say 1 pull-up, then that counts as hanging solidly. And as you can see, I managed to do this quite comfortably on the 5 millimeter holes, the Selfmade ones with the Selfmade rounding. And now, I decided it's time to basically step it up to the boss enemy of this hangboard, which is the 5 millimeter edge with the pre-made rounding from the factory, basically. And already when I took these edges, I had the feeling, okay, that's probably not possible. That's probably not possible because it's just so slippery and so slopey with that big rounding. And I had the feeling I had to really warm up a lot, and after some time I was able to get one more or less solid pull-up done on these. As you can see, it was kind of painful as well. Yeah, that's what we want. We want to destroy those fingertips, make them harder for the very small holes outdoors. It's kind of ridiculous at the same time, I know. But yeah, that's what you do when you're a climber. It's a fascinating sport. But anyway, let's move on to the this kind of big rounded holes that I've got there as well, with the pre-made rounding as well. Now, as you can see, first try I just took them as I took all the other edges, which is basically 4 fingers half crimp mode. But the main reason why I mounted these is because I wanted to train the 3 fingers open. And just as I suspected, they are pretty amazing for this kind of stuff. As you can see, they work very well with the 4 fingers open, with the 4 fingers half crimp as well. And then they are actually quite a lot easier to hold, for me at least, because my 4 fingers half crimp is much stronger than my 3 fingers open grip, which is something that I want to tackle with these Selfmade holds as well, I think. So as you can see, we're just stepping it down here from the 4 centimeters of diameter or 2 centimeters in radius down to the 3 centimeters in diameter or 1.5 centimeters in radius. Now these become already quite hard for me, at least, to hold 3 fingers open-handed and do one solid pull-up on those. I mean, I'm already starting to slip on these when I'm finishing my pull-up. And stepping it down even further to the 2 centimeters in diameter, respectively 1 centimeter in radius. Again, 4 fingers half crimp, pretty easy mode. And 3 fingers open, I have to say I struggled a lot on these. And as you can see, it's really your fingertips that have to do all the work here. You really gotta transfer all the force down to your fingertip. And this is something that's the beauty of training on such small holds. When you do these a couple of times, everything you do after that is gonna feel a lot bigger. All the holds that you're gonna touch after those little tiny crimps and slopey 3-finger open holds, everything after that is gonna feel a little bit bigger. Now I decided to take a little bit of a break, get some reading in and try it then again. And as you can see, I was able to hang them relatively solidly for 2 seconds or something, but I just wasn't able until the end to do a proper pull-up on those. These are just too hard for a proper pull-up for me still, but I'm gonna train them and I'm gonna get stronger. So that's basically, all the edges, all the holds, including the Beastmaker Micros that I didn't really talk a lot about, but yeah, I could hang them all quite solidly. It only really got interesting until I hit my Selfmade edges, basically, which are 5 millimeters, the small ones for the 4 fingers half crimp, and the small ones for the 3 fingers open grip, which are 1 centimeter in radius. So these are the main ones that I'm gonna train on without any bonus weight, and when I'm strong enough to add some, I'll maybe try that. So yeah, that's how I'm gonna basically wait until the conditions outdoors get better again. I hope you are having a great time as well. I certainly do, although it's quite a painful time as well, because yeah, these fingertips are burning, I'm telling you. But yeah, anyway, see you then, see you soon, bye.